Namaskar. Today's topic is Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process, and as per syllabus, this is for the students of MSc Maths 4th semester, and the paper is Functional Analysis 4C6. In this lecture, we study the complete orthonormal set and a important process known as Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process, and we will see some examples. For this, first we define the complete orthonormal set. A non-empty subset EI of a Hilbert space H is said to be an orthonormal set if norm of the EI equal to 1 for all I, that is each EI is a unit vector, and the second condition is that if I not equal to j, then inner product of the EI and EJ equal to 0. So if any subset of a Hilbert space satisfy these two conditions, that the H is unit vector and orthogonality, that if I not equal to j, then EI EJ inner product equal to 0, then such a set is known as orthonormal set. So, and this orthonormal set is said to be complete if it is not contained in any larger orthonormal set. So, this is the definition of the complete orthonormal set. Now we are having theorem 1, which states this us about the complete set of the property of the, which give us the property of the completeness of the set, that four conditions and which are equivalent. So first condition is that A EI is complete. Second one, that X is orthogonal to EI set, then X, this implies X equal to 0. The third one, C, if X is any vector in H, then X can be written as summation X EI EI. And the fourth one, that if X is any vector in H, then norm of the X square equal to summation modulus of the X EI whole square. So we are having these four conditions and we will prove them that these are equivalent one by one. First we start from the that A implies B. So we are given that the orthonormal set EI is complete, and then we have to prove that if for any X which is orthogonal to EI, and and then X equal to 0, and so let if possible that X is orthogonal to the set EI and X is non-zero, then we can choose E such that E equal to X upon norm X is a unit vector such that E is orthogonal to each EI for all I, and this implies that EI is an orthonormal set and properly containing the set EI, which contradicts the assumption that EI is a complete orthonormal set. Therefore, we are having only the choice that X orthogonal to set EI implies X equal to 0. So in this way, we have proved that A implies B. Second one, that B implies C. So given that X is orthogonal to EI implies X equal to 0, we have given, and we have to prove the part C, which the part C is this one, that if X is any vector in H, then X can be represented as a summation inner product X EI EI. So then we have suppose that given that X orthogonal to EI implies X equal to 0, then the vector X minus summation X EI EI is orthogonal to each vector of the in the set EI, that is X minus summation X EI EI is orthogonal to the set EI. Therefore, by our assumption that X minus summation X EI EI equal to 0, and this implies x equal to summation x ei. So we have obtained the part C, that in which x is represented as summation x ei. Now the next part, in which we have to prove C implies D, that we are given that x equal to x ei, then we have to obtain the value of norm x is required. So h by, for definition of the norm x square is the inner product of the x and put the value of x here, that's x equal to summation x ei summation x ej. And now we open this, expand this inner product and open. So using the property of the inner product, we obtain summation I summation j x ei x ej bar and ei ej. And as by the property of this ei ej inner product, this is the Kronecker delta ij. So this sum will become summation I x ei bar by summing with respect to j. So we obtain that summation I will I is some modulus of the x ei square. So we obtain the part D. In the last, we have to show that the D implies A. That given, we have given that norm of the x square equal to summation modulus x ei square for any x belonging to H. To prove that ei is complete, let if possible let ei be not complete. Then ei is a proper subset of the some orthonormal set, say EIE. By the hypothesis, we have that norm E square equal to summation EEI square, and here each term EEI equal to 0 because E is orthogonal to EI for each I. So which contradicts the fact that E is a unit vector, because here the norm of E we obtained 0. So and if E is unit vector, then this is a contradiction. Therefore, our assumption is not possible. Therefore, EI must be complete. So now we note here on the properties of these, that let EI be a complete orthonormal set in a Hilbert space H and X be any vector in H, then the numbers xei are called the Fourier coefficients of the x, and the expression x equal to summation I xei ei is called the Fourier expansion of x, and the equation norm x square equal to summation I xei modulus square is called the Parseval equation. So we have defined here Fourier coefficients and the Parseval equations. Now we consider an important theorem known as Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process, the statement of which is that let x1, x2 and xn and so on be a linearly independent set of vectors in a Hilbert space H, then there exists an orthonormal set of vectors E1, E2 and so on En, such that for every n, any n, the subspace spanned by x1, x2, xn is equal to the subspace spanned by E1, E2, En. That is, for any n, the linear subspace of H spanned by the vectors x1, x2, xn is same as that the spanned by the vectors e1, e2 and en, so on, en. So in this way, we give a process through which process we obtain orthonormal set. So we shall prove the theorem by mathematical induction or induction hypothesis. So we start from n equal to 1, that the vector x1 is not equal to 0 because it belongs to a linearly independent set of vectors. There are vectors. Now we choose e1 equal to x1 upon norm x1. Then norm e1 equal to 1 and e1 is an orthonormal set. Also, E1 is a scalar multiple of this x1. Therefore, E1 and x1 are linearly dependent. So that the subspace of H spanned by x1 is same as that spanned by E1. Thus, we have seen that the theorem is true for n equal to 1, and now we assume that let the theorem be true for any integer between 1 and n minus 1, both inclusive here. So we can construct an orthonormal set e1, e2 and so on en minus 1 such that the subspace spanned by x1, x2, xn minus 1 is the same as spanned by e1, e2, en minus 1. So in order to prove the theorem, we shall now construct an orthonormal set of n vectors having similar properties. So we consider the vector yn equal to xn minus summation I varying from 1 to n minus 1 xn ei. Then the vector yn is orthogonal to each of the vector e1, e2 and so on en minus 1, and further yn is not equal to 0. So say if possible that if yn equal to 0, then we obtained from here that xn is equal to summation I varying from 1 to n minus 1 xn ei. That is xn is a linear combination of the e1, e2 and so on en minus 1, and that is xn is a linear combination of x1, x2 and xn minus 1 by our induction hypothesis that this and will generate the same space. So which is a contradiction, but this is not possible as the set x1, x2 and so on xn is given to be a linearly independent set, and so none of the vectors is expressible as a linear combination of the preceding vectors. Hence yn is not equal to 0. So now we choose set en vector en equal to yn upon norm yn. Then en is a unit vector which is orthogonal to each of the vectors e1, e2 and so on en minus 1, and so e1, e2, en is an orthonormal set. Now it remains to prove that the subspace spanned by x1, x2, xn and e1, e2, en are the same. So for this we use these equations. First, as we have chosen en equal to yn upon norm yn, and the value of yn put here xn minus summation I varying from 1 to n minus 1 xn ei upon norm yn, and therefore we can write this xn as x value of xn equal to yn en plus summation I varying from 1 to n minus 1 xn ei. So we denote these as equation number 1 and equation number 2. So from 1 we observe that en is a linear combination of the vectors e1, e2, en minus 1 and xn, and so by our assumption induction hypothesis we can say that en is a linear combination of the vectors x1, x2, xn minus 1 xn. So also from the equation 2 we observe that xn is a linear combination of the e1, e2 and so on en. Hence by our induction hypothesis we can say that the subspace spanned by the set x1, x2 and so on xn is the same as that spanned by the e1, e2 and so on en. So in this way we obtain the required orthonormal set and which span the same subspace as spanned by the x1, x2, xn. So this completes the proof of the theorem. Now we see some examples using the completeness of and orthonormality. The example one in a is in a Hilbert space H, an orthonormal set S is complete if and only if x orthogonal to S implies x equal to 0. So we prove this that in first implies part, let S be complete and x is orthogonal to S, and let if possible x is not equal to 0, so that norm of the x is non-zero. So we choose e equal to x upon norm x, so that norm e equal to 1, and as e is orthogonal to s, hence the set this es is an orthonormal set which properly contains s, and this contradicts the hypothesis that s is complete. Hence, our assumption is wrong. Therefore, x equal to 0. Conversely, that x is orthogonal to s implies x equal to 0. Then we have to prove that s is complete. So, let s be not complete. Then there exists a unit vector E such that ES is an orthonormal set properly containing S. Since ES is an orthonormal set, therefore E is orthonormal to S. Then by the hypothesis that E equal to 0, but this is a contradiction as E is a unit vector, because this ES is an orthonormal set, therefore E is orthonormal to. Then by hypothesis that E equal to 0, but this is a contradiction as E is an unit vector, because this ES is an orthonormal set. Hence our assumption was wrong, and so S must be complete. The second example says that an orthonormal set in a Hilbert space is linearly independent. So to prove this, let S be any orthonormal set of vectors in a Hilbert space H, and let S1 equal to E1, E2, En be a finite subset of the S, and summation I varying from 1 to n, summation I varying from 1 to n ai equal to a1 e1 plus so on en equal to 0. So for each j where j is varying from 1 to n, summation I varying from 1 to n ai ej equal to summation I varying from 1 to n, taking this summation outside, ai inner product ei ej, and as the inner product ei ej is Kronecker delta ij, therefore this value equal to aj. On the other side, we put here the value of summation ai ei as this summation ai equal to 0. So this is 0 ej, and this value of 0 ej is 0. Therefore we obtain that aj equal to 0 for each j varying from 1 to n. Thus each finite subset of S is a linearly independent, and so that S is linearly independent. So the last example, so that in the Hilbert space L to N, the set E1, E2 and so on En, where Ei is n tuple with 1 in the ith place and zeros all other places everywhere else, is a complete orthonormal set. We have to show that this set is a complete orthonormal set. So let S equal to E1, E2, En, where E1 equal to 1, 0, 0 and 0, E2 equal to 0, 1, 0 and so on, En equal to 0, 0, 0, 1. Now if x equal to x1, x2, xn and y equal to y1, y2, yn are any two elements of the L2n, then we define the norm and inner product as this one, that norm x square equal to summation I varying from 1 to n modulus xi square and whole bracket power under root power 1 by 2, and the inner product is this one, that xy equal to summation I varying from 1 to n xi yi bar. Here bar means complex conjugate. So then now obviously the norm of each vector ei is 1, and also if ei not equal to j, then ei ej equal to 0. Here the sign 0 is equal to 0. Now to prove S is complete, we shall show that if x is orthogonal to S implies x equal to 0. So if, as we see, x e1 equal to 0 implies x1 1 plus x2 0 plus so on, xn 0 equal to 0 implies x1 equal to 0. Similarly, if x orthogonal to E2, then x2 equal to 0, and proceeding in this way, we obtain that x orthogonal to En equal to implies xn equal to 0. Here also xn equal to 0. So we obtained that all x1, x2, xn equal to 0. So x is orthogonal to S, then we are having x equal to 0, and hence by example 1 S is a complete orthonormal set. So in today's lecture we have seen the complete orthonormal set, its property, and Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process, and some examples relating to complete orthonormal set. For more details, students can go refer to any book of functional analysis. I am Dr. R. P. Somani, Associate Professor in Maths. Thank you.